Hey, I'm Emily Byrd, and I am a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach with hybrid athlete training. And I'm here to just tell you a little bit about my story and my background. I grew up in Soldotna, Alaska, and my life at some point started taking a negative turn into addiction. So I had 13 years of heroin and opiate addiction, as well as I used meth and alcohol just kind of sprinkled in there. I mean, I would basically do whatever I could get my hands on, but opiates was the one I couldn't do without. But I'm here and I'm about 4.5 years sober. And so that's exciting. I just want to give you a little bit of how that process worked for me and spread hope and joy. So yeah, it started out with just a doctor prescribing me pain medication. I played sports in high school, and I would experience, pain in my knees and pain in my back. And I just didn't know how to work around that. And honestly, I feel like I was just too lazy. I didn't want to put the work in to fix my physical issues. And so I took the easy way out and just got pain medication from a doctor, which, it just turns into now you need more. And now your doctor won't prescribe me more. So I started getting them off the street. I started misusing the drugs as far as, using drugs that weren't prescribed to me, of course, and then utilizing them in different ways, like rather than swallowing them. And then it turned into a full-on heroin addiction. And that's when things just really got absolutely out of control. I overdosed and died. I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 times, and was brought back from that each time, which is just crazy. The last time I actually overdosed in my brother's house and was rushed to the hospital. And I actually had somebody come and check me out of the hospital. We went out the back door to avoid my family, and we just went into a bathroom and did more drugs. So it was just this cycle that I was just stuck in. Like, I couldn't get out of it mentally or physically at that point. Let's see what else. I also started kind of selling drugs, just getting just deeper and deeper into that community and those people, and putting myself and my family at risk, as well as, my child and all of that kind of stuff. And what really brought me down to my lowest point was when I was in my car and these kind of shady guys got in my vehicle, and next thing I know, there's gunshots going off and they were trying to rob me at gunpoint. And I just threw open the door and took off running through the woods. And then the last thing I saw is I turned around and they were driving off with my car, which had my dog in it and my friend in it. So that was just, it was crazy. Like, I couldn't even take a shower after that without having my back up against the wall, because I was afraid somebody was behind me, because that's where the gunshots came from, in the car. So after that, I spent about a month in a barn detoxing. And it was probably the worst detox I had ever had. I'd gone to prison, I'd gone to jail, I'd gone to recovery. So it's not like I hadn't been through a detox, but this was definitely the most intense one I'd ever experienced. I was hallucinating a lot. I kept thinking I was talking to people on the phone, and I didn't even have a phone. I had lost it when I ran from the vehicle. I kept thinking I was hearing my dog, and I kept calling her to my side, but she wasn't there. She was in the car when it got stolen, which, happy note, we did find my dog, and she's still with me today. So that is the good side of things. But yeah, after about a month of just this horrendous detox, I showed up at my parents' doorstep and I just said, "Hey, I need a job." And my dad almost laughed. He was like, you need so much more than just a job." And he was right. But, at that point, I had just completely given up. I didn't love myself anymore, and I didn't love anybody else. Like, I had lost all feelings of emotion or passion. You could have talked to me about my kid at that point, and I would have just been like, he's better off without me. And so when my parents were like, "You need to go into this program. It's a year-long faith-based recovery program. I was just like, fine, whatever. I don't care what you do with me at this point. And so I went to this program in Washington. I don't think we had the Women's Freedom House at that point, but they had tried to get me to go there as well. I think maybe they did have it. I'm not sure. But so I went to this women's house, and they used to joke when I first got there. They were like, they said they would watch me out the window just waiting for my head to start spinning around on my shoulders, because there was just something so dark and evil inside of me. You know, and I was hanging on to so much stuff. In my mind, it was always all about control. I needed to control the trajectory of my life. I needed to control what people thought of me. I needed to control every little thing. And it sounds crazy because you're like, well, you were an addict. Like, what kind of control did you have? But it was like, that's what it came out of, was just this overwhelming pressure of like, everything's on my shoulders. And I couldn't handle it, and I needed an escape. And that's what drugs and alcohol became for me, was just an escape from that pressure. And I had a lot of like fears and insecurities as well. So, you know, the longer I was at this recovery center, it was a whole year there, I was just hanging on to these parts of myself that I thought mattered. Like, this is what makes me me. And if I let this go, then everything's just going to crumble. Everything's going to fall apart, and I'm going to lose myself. And it was just through that program that I realized, like, 100% letting go, 100% trusting God, that He was faithful to carry me through that into something better. And the person that I have become today would have never been possible if I hadn't have gone through what I went through. Because, you know, if I had just stayed sober and lived my life, I still would have been absolutely controlled by fear, controlled by a bad self-image, and just all of these horrible things that were weighing on me. And so it took that 13 years of addiction and coming out the other side to finally be able to let some of these things go and let God in and let Him change my life for the better, you know. So yeah, that was the most amazing program. And I think it was the hardest, but the best year of my life for sure. And then after I graduated the program, I moved to a farm in Michigan with my husband and my son. And it was just, you know, it was great. It was time to focus on us and to rebuild. But as I was there, I was just really realizing that, like, physically, I didn't feel good. Like, mentally, I felt amazing. And spiritually, I just was on top of the world. And, but physically, it just didn't match. Like, I was bloated all the time. I was fatigued. I didn't have any energy. And I was like overwhelmed with everything that was coming at me with the farm and all the responsibilities. And it just got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed. Like, I don't want to go garden this giant, massive, like, pain in the butt garden. Like, parenting was just such a chore to like think about all the things I had to do. And I was just kind of spiraling. It was affecting my mental wellness as well. And so my husband kept saying, you should call Lacey. And finally we just were like, listen, this is worth the money. And I called Lacey and I was like, hey, you know, can you train me? And so we did like remote training for a little bit, and it just gave me this like feeling that my physical health was matching my spiritual and my mental health. Like, that it was just becoming this whole picture and complete. And I had the energy to do the things that I needed to do. And I had the like go-getter mentality, you know, as opposed to like waking up and just already being defeated before your feet even hit the floor. You're just like, I'm just gonna flip on Netflix and check out today because I don't feel good, you know. And so that just kind of was the beginning of my like health and wellness journey, as far as like the physical aspect of it, and recognizing just how they all do kind of tie in together. Like, You know, you can have spiritual health, you can have mental health, but if you're neglecting your physical health, like at some point it's going to start affecting the other two. You have to think big picture. And so after that, you know, it was just kind of like that fire was lit, and I went on to go get my certification through NASM for personal training and nutrition. And then when Lacey started this latest venture with the hybrid athlete, I was like, hey, like, I want to be on board. You know, I've been working in gyms, but I want to learn. I want to keep growing, because that's really where my energy comes from, is just constant growth. Like if I become stagnant in any area, I'm just like, it seeps into the rest of my day. It seeps into my emotions and all of that. And I just kind of lose my drive. I lose my energy. And so, yeah, I came on with hybrid and been working with her, and it's just been this awesome opportunity for growth and for just sharing my story and helping other people and helping people understand that, like, to be physically fit and healthy, like, you don't have to be some superhuman. You don't have to have this, like, you know, perfect lifestyle where you've never touched drugs, you've never touched alcohol. Like, there's no better time to start than now. And taking that first step is always the scariest, but you can take that step from any part of your walk. Like, you don't have to be like, well, you know, I got to wait until this happens and then I'll start focusing on my health. Like, health is now. Health is today.